All right, another totally rewarding chat. I am here once again with Paul Reiman. How's it going, sir?
It is going. School has started in the Chicago suburbs, so I am in a quieter house for more hours of the day.
I know, I just caught you. I was out at the Chicago Comp Association, and in fine form, when Paul asked where you wanted to meet for food, I said Egg Harbor. A little shout out. Today's sponsored by Egg Harbor. For lunch, by the way, because breakfast is an every meal thing.
Understood.
It's a good point.
And my boys were indeed quite upset, Sean, that we had lunch there because it is their favorite restaurant, and we'll probably be celebrating there this weekend. A successful first.
You could tell them it was my fault. You're like, I had to go.
That's right. It was work. It was work.
And I'm super stoked to have Shayna Cook here from Dominion Payroll. I was so lucky to be on a panel with you earlier this year, which you had your opportunity to not see me again, but you decided to come on with Paul and I anyway. So thanks.
Yes. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Obviously, she doesn't know me very well, Paul, because she went with
gentlemen. Yeah, gentleman does not fit the brand.
Benefit of the doubt. That's exactly right.
Yeah, she said keeping it professional, which won't last. We'll see how long that lasts. So that I don't mess it up.
Yes.
People don't go through. Can you just give us the rundown of your background and where you're at now?
Yes. So, Shayna Cook, I'm at Dominion Payroll Services. We are based in, our headquarters is in Richmond, Virginia. We've got about 7 different offices across the U.S., and we basically are a payroll and HCM services organization. I came here during COVID, I guess about 7 years ago, and that was a big moment for me. I was in education and had primarily been in education for my entire career. At that time, I was working for this organization based out of Boulder, and I was doing a lot of consulting for schools. And you can imagine during COVID that they decided that the one thing that they don't have money for is any kind of consulting practice, which understandably. So my wonderful founder at the time was like, we are going to have to furlough for about 8 months, but it'll be fine. And I was like, not me, sir. This is not going to be my destiny. And so I started thinking about what in the world. I've got 25 years of experience in people development and leadership and growth. And I was like, what could I do with all of this, with all of these skills? Because I think a lot of time teachers are like, I can only teach. That's all I can do. But in reality, they are doing all the things. They just are not aware that they're doing all the things. So I started looking into corporations specifically in that learning and development and training space. And I got connected with the CEO of this organization, and I actually reached out to him because there was another payroll company in Richmond that was hiring like a director of L&D. And so I reached out, and he was like, are you looking for a new role? And I said, yes. And he's like, amazing. We are looking for a VP of human capital. And I said, oh, I don't think you know what I do, sir. I know nothing about payroll except for that I have I love to get paychecks, and that's all that I know about payroll. He's like, no, it's gonna be great. We want to do like people development, nurturing culture. We want to like grow from the inside. And I said, oh, I think I can definitely do that. And so and I went through this whole interview process, and then that's how I ended up here as a VP of Human Capital 7 years ago. And since then, I've been promoted into the Chief People Officer. And then most recently, in the last couple of weeks, I also got promoted to the Chief Operating Officer. So I am in charge of all people and operations for the organization. And it's a big, super fun, challenging experience. And I'm so grateful for it.
Wow. It definitely piles on the, comp or HR finds you. You don't find a thing because your career journey is pretty amazing. And I think the thing that amazed me when I look back on when we spoke there was there are those that hire for experience, and then there are those that hire for attitude and aptitude.
Right.
And, someone saw you and was like, yeah, they don't have the experience, but that I can get them. Like, but I want this person. Like, I'm going to hire the talent and I'll deal with the rest.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And that was a big aha moment for me. And also in the way that I hire, right? Like I love people that have nonlinear career journeys. I love when they are in different industries and trying different things. And just because it shows me, one, that you can handle change, 2, that you're curious and you can learn, and that you want to learn. And 3, that you're super adaptable. So those kinds of things to me are harder to teach than how to process a payroll. For sure.
Yeah.
Before we dig into what, some best practices, we have the speed round. So, and I, for one, am very excited about this speed round. So, now, Paul, are you
I have
a
a
tea or
feeling I know
coffee
where
person?
this is going already.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Are you a tea or coffee person?
Coffee.
Okay. And then we always ask now, this is the thing, are you a coffee snob or just give me coffee?
No, and I say that as I'm drinking a cup of tea. So maybe I should revisit. I have turned
Traitor.
into one cup of coffee a day. I did get the fancy Nespresso machine a couple years ago. So we'll sometimes have fancy coffee in the morning, but I'm pretty basic. Give me a cup of coffee. I'm not a big Starbucks person. I just want my basic cup of coffee to get on with my day, and then I move to tea. So I like both. Can I be both?
You can. Sure. There's no right or wrong answers.
There is always.
Paul, well, not that we're going to tell you, only when Paul and I debrief.
That's right. We'll judge you later. We'll judge you later.
Your favorite band?
Ooh. Oh my God, Indigo Girls, hands down. Those women have been with me through every twist and turn of my life, and I'm seeing them on Sunday. They're coming to Innsbruck, and I cannot wait. And as a matter of fact, my husband was like, "Oh, something's come up. I can't go." And I was like, "Actually, I'm totally fine with that. I'm going to go by myself. I'm going to just sit with my girls, and we're going to just enjoy ourselves." And so, yeah, I'm thrilled. Love them.
That is literally the same story almost. My wife is really excited to see Garth Brooks when he comes to the Chicago area. Yeah. He puts on a great show, which is great.
Yes.
And she bought a bunch of tickets, and I'm like, do I have to go? Like I kind of am self-volunteering. I know one song, whereas she would say Garth is sort of like you just described the Indigo Girls. Like he's been with me, right? Like this has defined my adulthood.
We have been through it. And I have dragged my sweet husband to so many of their shows that I'm like, no, you can go see Rad or whatever he and the boys are going to go see at the movies that night. So Point Break, I don't know, something's coming back. They're very excited about it. It's a surfing movie. The guys are going to go see
Point Break.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. If you're a surfer, so those of us are like, we like Point Break, and people are like, the is it the plot? No. Not to go ride the biggest wave, if that's the thing. For sure. But the rest of it, how they get there, that's trivial. Really important question, Shayna. You have time away and you get to choose. Would you rather go to a posh resort or go camp for the weekend or week or longer?
Yeah. Man, my inclination is to say go camping for sure. But the older I get, the more if I'm going to go away for a night, I might just go posh. Again, we do a lot of, Sean, we do a lot of camping. We are an RV family. But man, if I'm going by myself, I'm going to bring a book. I might do a really nice hotel room. Get some takeout or take in. Yeah, I think both. Again, both.
I'm always baffled that the get a book. It's a sidebar. I'm always baffled. People are like, I'm going to get a book in a really posh place. Why do you need a posh place to read?
Because I want it to feel beautiful while I'm reading.
Yeah, maybe I just.
And then you look up from your book and you have a view and the room is clean. Like, come on, Sean, you have to try it. Just try it.
Well, first of all, they don't let me in those places. I'm not 100%.
Maybe that's the problem, buddy.
Yeah. What is the best place you've camped? I leaned into that.
Oh. Gosh,
I didn't see the posh one day coming. I won't lie.
Yeah, I know. It could be because we're coming off of a month of living off the grid that I'm like, I do love. So my favorite place to camp, and we've been to some absolutely beautiful places, but about 5 years ago, we bought a couple acres just south of Leadville, Colorado, and we spend the month of July basically dry camping there. And we live in the camper and have solar panels and this big water container, and we take outside showers, and we have a portage on for the bathroom. It's like super rustic. But I absolutely love it.
Paul's 100% confused right now.
You lost me at dry camp. Like, I don't even know what that means.
There's no electric. You're like boondocking. And so you have to like piece together. The amount of work I have to do to get that one cup of coffee in the morning is astounding, but it's totally worth it.
See, that is right there, like encapsulates my challenge with camping. Like, why would you turn vacation into a time machine and basically give up 100 years of innovation?
That's fair. So you can really, truly appreciate, Paul, when you get home, a hot shower indoors and a coffee in the morning when you just push the button.
Yeah, that's probably true. That is probably very true.
Yeah.
And Leadville is, that's, I need to get out there. I missed my one chance at the 100 out there, Shayna, with injury. It's so beautiful out there. I went out
oh my gosh.
and didn't make it. It's an amazing.
You've got to go. You got to go.
And then the last one, are you a crunchy or creamy peanut butter?
Crunchy.
Yeah.
but I never get it because my whole family is creamy.
Oh.
I know. Can't tell you last time I've had crunchy peanut butter. Sad.
I don't know.
I mean,
your family works different than mine because when we were growing up, if mama didn't like something, we just didn't get it.
Oh,
Not
now
how,
implement that.
that's not how management works here. The way I always described it was there's 3 kids and the 2 of us, and each kid had 16% of the vote. My wife had 51 and I had the rest.
100%.
Yeah. So, yeah.
She wins. Yes, 100%. Amazing.
So as we spin, to the boring stuff of work, I guess,
Yes.
it's, I was interested in 2 things. So the first thing was, what do you see as best practices when you're building a program? Because you literally started from the outside and came in and figured out this is the best of stuff that is out there because you didn't end up in that role, trained in a certain way. You just had to figure it out. So how'd you figure it out and how did you determine what best practices were?
Great question. So, a couple different things, right? I can come at it from 2 angles. First one is I feel like if you want to show up with an equal voice, especially in HR, and I do think that this is changing, but I also would say that historically HR gets an opinion but not a vote. And so I think if you want to actually get a vote, you really do have to show up like a business partner to the organization. And by that I mean every program that you pitch should be evaluated the same way you would evaluate everything else, right? Like, what is the ROI? What's that cultural impact that the company is going to experience from that? From an operational scalability, what does that look like? How much is it going to actually cost the organization? And then what are the outcomes that you're looking for? And I say that because I have spoken to CEOs and business leaders before where where there's just such a disconnect between what the HR person is saying that the organization needs and what the organization can actually afford, if you will. And an example of that would be a couple years ago, I was talking to this gentleman that I met who is a CEO of a company out in Colorado, and he was highly frustrated because they were not hitting their markers. Their EBITDA was very low. Their sales were down, and the HR director came in and said that they needed to add this employee benefit, which was going to add I think it was like $350,000 in costs. And I was like, what a disconnect. And so of course, that person was discounted because you're just not seeing what the business is. And so really understanding how the business operates. And I would say, as an HR person, if you ever have an opportunity to own an operational piece of the business, and I mean all of it, like the P&L, the goals, the outcomes, like all of that is a really great exercise that I actually think everybody should have an opportunity to do, but especially HR because having to take all of that into account instead of specifically only around that employee piece. And then on the opposite side of it, I would say taking the time to do the due diligence before you roll things out so that you can get the buy-in. And I think we see this with AI, we see this with operational strategies and improvements. And I think, when I first came here, there was not a lot of structure around the people space yet. The company had grown and grown very quickly, but had grown kind of around the employees instead of with the employees, if you will. And so there was a lot of backtracking, building structures, processes. And honestly, the very first thing that I did, we had 92 employees at that time, is I set a one-on-one with every single one of them. And I had a 15-minute meeting. And I asked the same 7 questions and I created, essentially a SWOT analysis based off of their feedback. And that feedback gave me a 1.5 years worth of projects to expedite. And then at the end of that, I was like just rolling, but that was the best way to actually, where are we good? Where do we need some help? What are we missing here? And then kind of started in that way. So building from the ground up.
Where did you end up out of curiosity? So talking to everybody in the company, what was if you can share the priority that bounced out of that?
A lot of it,
thinks it's, comp has an idea, but
totally. And so what is really interesting is that I would say before COVID, you guys probably know this, company focus was really on employee fun through engagement. So we are the same. We have pool tables, we have Friday lunches, we bring our dog. My dogs are running around. We do dog day on Friday. It is a great place to work because it's fun. But something happened in COVID and people were less interested in fun and more interested in their own personal growth and development. And so, what we were really missing was those basics, promotional tiers in every department. salary banding so that there's some consistency there, merit increases that happen like consistently, and then also with some regularity across the board. Like when I first got here, some people were getting like 14% increase and some people were getting 2, and there was just like no consistency, right? I ran a pay equity audit almost immediately, and there was a small handful of people that were way outside of the range. And so there was some adjustments that had to happen there. So really, it was what they were missing most was this opportunity to grow and development professionally and also financially. Which would, because a lot of the feedback was like, there's a ceiling here. Like you come, it's super fun and we have a great time, but after a couple of years, there's nowhere to grow, and so everybody has to go. Yeah. And so we had to change that pretty quickly.
Now, what I'm hearing, and I think a couple hundred employees, is that right?
It was like 90 something when I started. Yeah. Right now we're about 200.
So it strikes me as one, I don't want to say classic stories, but like you outgrew being the small company.
That's right.
I mean, it's not huge, but it's still big enough where real program and real structure is necessary, right? Yeah. So I just wanted to call that out for listeners and watchers, right? You are at one of those somewhat predictable transitions of you can operate one way 0 to 10, another way 10 to 100, and then guess what?
Yeah,
like 100 to 1,000 is a really big change, and you're because what you're describing, like pay structures and job architectures, are the things that feel Cadillac, if you will, when you're small, but they become really important when you are growing from 100, and up, because people care about these things, and you can't do them willy-nilly, by the person.
Well, the job description isn't Jane anymore, right? The
right.
Job description is,
exactly.
It's like, well, I don't know, just Jane does it. That's the department of Jane over there, right? And so it's like, actually, we need to have it. We need more of those, and we're not in the cloning business, so we need to go high. We need to figure out what that role is and where it stops and how to grow. So, I mean, that's a fun. I notoriously don't like job architecture, but it is.
I know.
But it's the most important thing. I'll die on the hill of it is one of the most important things ever. I just have not. The times I've done it, I have not yet done it. Actually,
enjoyed that.
And maybe it was because of your education background. The part that I don't like the most is going to talk to 90 employees.
Yeah. It's exhausting. You can't take it personally. None of it. Yeah. And I think that's, it's so true because, to your point, I remember when I was kind of going through some of the process stuff, and in one of our process documents, it said, if this happens, go see Nico. Well, Nico left like 4 years ago. So like, what do we do now? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, there is tension, Paul, to your point, to grow. And because some folks, especially old timers, love the company the way that it was in that 0 to 50. But they also really love kind of that structure that comes, because you can plan on it. You know what to expect, but there is conflict because not only then are you like creating structure around pay and growth and development, but you're also creating structure around behavior and expectations and, SLAs and metrics. And now we are measuring your performance instead of just being like, hey, Sean, you did a great job this year. Here's 14%, buddy. So it's like, there's that friction of like, it never used to be like this. And you're like, I know.
That's right.
Also a conversation that never happened. So
the key is there's nothing magical about scaling at each of those sort of 10x increments, right? 10 to 100 to 1,000, that like you have to pay differently. It's more the way you work and the way you collaborate is different. And as a result, the way you need to think about sort of job structures, comp structures changes, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's a consequence, not the driver for sure, but it happens every time, right? It's really hard to find a 500-person company that still operates the same as the 50.
Oh my gosh,
days.
It would be chaos.
Chaos, or worse.
Speaking of all those processes, I learned about my favorite employee this year. I am been a big advocate of theirs through the years. So can you tell Paul about my favorite employee in the org that is actually in the org chart?
Yeah. So Paul, Sean is talking about my newest employee, Taylor Finnegan, who happens to be our first digital employee. And so we introduced Taylor to the organization in January of this year. We are using a company called Intercom Fin. I don't know if you've heard of them or not, but basically we put this digital employee into our customer service department. And this was such an interesting thing for us because we have definitely gone all in on AI this year. We have not gone slowly, but we have gone gently. We started, we had a whole architecture that we created around AI and automation implementation. We did a lot of it internally, but then we were like, okay, our next step is to see like, how can we actually start impacting our employees' work? Not just necessarily like, here, use an LLM to make your email sound better, but like, how do we increase efficiency? How do we give you back some capacity?
Yeah.
And so we did a deep dive in the market. We settled on Intercom, really enjoyed them, but basically we brought this digital employee in to manage all of our incoming tickets. And just for a frame of reference, we get about 15,000 tickets a month. And those tickets can range anywhere from, hey, my employee's locked out and needs to be reset, to like major complex payroll tax situations. And so what we wanted to do was bring in this digital employee that can get that bottom layer of super easy, really repetitive, very manual, but time-consuming responses. And so we did that. And it was funny because we did it as a prototype. And so if I went back and did it again, I would do it differently. I didn't really tell the employees we were doing it. We had a small group of people that knew. But I wanted to see how it worked before we told the company, because if it didn't work, we were going to abort the mission and try something else. But very quickly, we were hearing from employees that, who is Taylor Finnegan? Where does Taylor sit? Why haven't we been introduced to Taylor? Because Taylor was getting every single ticket that came in and then replying or escalating it to somebody else. And they're like, who is this person? So then we had to do a reset of like, here's what we're doing and here's what we're trying. And it's been fantastic, actually. It was interesting to understand or to watch it go. So there was an expectation from our employees that the second Taylor was turned on, Taylor was going to be able to do everything in the organization, because Taylor was a machine. And so when Taylor would answer something incorrectly or maybe escalate something that it should have been able to answer, our employees were frustrated, like, why this isn't even valuable. And I'm like, listen, when you have a new employee that comes in 3 days later, what is your expectation of that person? It's no different. You still have to train, you have to teach, you have to correct, you have to build the knowledge of this tool in the same way that you have to do for normal employees. And then you also have to check, you have to audit, you have to double check those SLAs. So Taylor gets reported in the same way that, not reported, but like we run reports on Taylor in the same way that we do all of our other people. Same expectations of SLAs. The great thing about Taylor is that Taylor works 24/7 all the time. Taylor never complains. Taylor is always nice. No overtime. Always responds. You can get like the nastiest message.
24/7, but no overtime. There are no hours left for him to get overtime.
Right. And sometimes we get frustrated clients. Arguably, payroll is a very high pressure sort of thing for businesses. And so they might come in a little hot, and Taylor's like, thank you so much, Paul, for reaching out. It's lovely to hear from you.
Right. There's no bad days from Taylor, which is great.
Listen, it's so good. So we have been, we've done a great job with Taylor. I will tell you that we then tried to expand, and Sean, you don't even know this, into Fin Voice. So we tried to implement a live AI agent to answer incoming phone calls. And we ran a 3-week trial of that. And we just overwhelmingly got negative response from our clients about that. They just don't love it. And arguably the biggest value that we offer is our service. The fact that you can call in and get a person anytime. We don't do voicemails. Like, we are just here for our clients. And so that felt to them like we were just shifting away from what is core to who we are. Great feedback. So we kind of let that go. Not to say we won't try again, maybe in 6 months, a year, or whatever, as that technology improves. But for now, we're just going to stick with Taylor in our ticketing system.
It's super interesting. It is always fun to hear like where AI is making sort of its real dent in organizations. As a follow-up, I'm curious. So one of the big open questions for, deep comp nerds like me is, as digital employees like Taylor take on what have been sort of the low-level tasks, right? Mm-hmm. And they're pretty good at that, right?
Yep.
How does that affect the work of the others in the org chart, right? So does this hollow out the bottom? Does this just change what it meant to be I don't know what title, but a customer support rep 1 now is doing essentially tier 2 tasks because they're answering the tax questions rather than resetting the passwords. Again, I'm making up the examples, but how are you seeing it reshape? Right. How is it reshaping the work around Taylor?
Yeah.
Because that's what most comp people are trying to think through. How does this affect the way that I need to pay the people that aren't digital, given that this work is changing?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And so we went into this with 3 expectations. Anytime I look at an AI or an automation tool, I look at it from an analysis perspective to see if it's something we want to utilize. I want to make sure that it's going to increase efficiencies, it's going to decrease errors, and it's going to increase our client satisfaction. So those are my 3 ROI drivers. It's not to save money on labor. We are already kind of lean and mean as it is. I'm not trying to cut 20 heads and implement all this AI, but I want to be able to free up my humans to do more client-centric work. And so what I mean by that is if I can alleviate time that my CS reps are now unlocking employees to be able to give them space to be able to then make a phone call a client and be like, hey, I noticed that you submitted about 20% more tickets this month. Anything wrong? Are you waiting on us for anything? What's going on? So like having more of a actual business relationship with these companies that we work with rather than just this transactional component. And so does that change the hiring profile? It certainly does. And that to me is really on the organization. We hear a lot of people like, oh gosh, what are these new college graduates going to do when they get out of school and they try to get into the workforce? How are they going to fit? And I honestly don't think it's up to them to decide that. I think it's up to the organization to say, well, excuse me, our tier 1 work now looks like this. It is more client centric. It is more open. You need to have a certain personality persona because I want you to be engaged more with clients instead of sitting behind your computer. And so that definitely changes. It also has allowed us the opportunity to move people around the organization into different spots where we know that we maybe are a little bit under headcount or we are growing in that area.
Sure.
One area for us might be this AI and automation space. And so we were able to move one of our implementation reps from implementation into, he's like our first AI architect, Juan Ramos. He's just probably one of the smartest humans I've ever met. And he, excuse me, raised his hand and said, I want to be part of the AI task force. And he's just like, it's remarkable. And we had him doing data conversion. And what that means is he was copying and pasting data from one system to the next. And this man is like building our entire AI architecture internally. And so being able to recognize that our employees have different talents that we're not utilizing them for and putting them in spaces where they're better utilized, more challenged, or, even more impactful on the organization and our client experience has been just remarkable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you, kind of spinning it to comp, have you used any of the AI, not necessarily Taylor, but where have you used any AI, if at all, in the kind of comp and ben space internally?
Yeah. So we certainly use it a lot in markets compensation and benchmarking. It's a great tool for us in that way. We also use it, but that's more generalized, right? So that might be my relationship with Claude. That's not like a tool that I went out to the market to buy. We use it. I've asked my kind of directors and managers to be way more hands-on with AI tools, specifically LLMs, in their people management. We all know that one of the most time-consuming parts of being a manager is that administrative work around having the one-on-ones and then recording the notes and then sharing the notes and then having your, annual review and taking the hours that it takes to kind of make that a meaningful experience for the employee. And so I have shared with them how I see that evolving with the use of AI. So for instance, we are using a tool called Fellow AI. Everybody, all of our managers, about 50 folks in the organization have them, but I've asked them to, use that tool to record all of their one-on-ones with their employees. Not because I want to see them, but I want them to summarize them because we ask them to do one meeting a week. So if you're taking out PTO, you've got probably 47, 48 meetings with your employee throughout the year. And if you are using this tool and you have all of these summaries of the conversations, then you can take all of that data from all of those conversations and you can dump it into Claude or Chat or whatever it is. You can then also take your framework for your performance management and you also dump that in there and you ask it to create a very meaningful with examples summary of the year, of impact of the year for this employee. And now you've got this document that is just, not only is it not, you're not, suffering from recency bias. It's very easy to be like, oh, Sean's been doing a great job. But remember in Q1 when Sean was on a PIP? Right. We're not thinking about that because now it's Q3. And so actually taking a whole summary of the entire year of impact and performance and doing a true summary of here's how you did this year. here's where I'd like to see you go next year. Let's talk about what your goals are. And then how do we get you there? And so that's really how we do our performance management piece now. And then the additional piece on top of that is that I have asked that all of our employees are in some kind of growth and development plan, and they use, AI to help generate those too, based off of the feedback from the year. So where do I look like now? Am I going to be a tier 2 next year? I'm a tier 1 now. What does that look like? What's my upskilling? How do I break that down by quarter? So we're very, very intentional about growing our people. Everybody knows where they are. There's nothing worse than going into a performance management conversation and getting promoted. I think that's terrible. I haven't been part of the conversation. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't get any upskilling. I'm just being promoted because I was here another year. Or going in and being like, you know what, you did not have a great year. And you're like, well, hey, we have been meeting every week, and this is the first I'm hearing of that. And so creating some transparency for employees and letting them be a part of the conversation of their growth and development, I think is the right way to approach that partnership for organizations.
Do the employees get the same transcript then, so they can also look back and that's
yeah.
The recency bias thing I think is big for me. I usually joke like, hey, there's no way I could be a top performer 12 months a year, but I'm going to pick the 2 months leading in, right? Like, but also I do think there are these ebbs and flows in the business where, especially if you have cyclical stuff where the merit cycle doesn't line up. And so what Paul does, in particular, it might be for comp people, right? Like maybe the cycle is, in August or September, and it's like, well, he hasn't really put all the budget stuff. He didn't do merit. So for the summer, they're like, well, Paul hadn't been doing anything, but actually,
what you been doing, Paul?
Yeah. So, but he did everything. Merit went 100%. Well, the ranges were like all the stuff happened, but somebody else was doing something else or preparing for open enrollment. So the benefits person, and they're like, that person's great. Paul's been a 3, but you're like, you forget. So I think it's awesome that it sums it all up and basically says, here's the year in review. Because, it is, I think it's a lot to ask a human to be a 5, 12 months a year.
Oh gosh. Yeah. So we all have things, right? But yeah, being able to pinpoint those.
I think that's awesome. The one thing I like from that I heard from you is several times that I don't think enough people do, and just kind of give me your mindset is several times you said, well, if it doesn't work, we'll just throw it out. And so like, that is not, I don't want to say not normal behavior, but I think people who make a decision and they want to use something, they're like, I'm in it to win it. Right?
Yeah.
At that point.
I will force this.
Yeah. And so walk a little bit about your mindset. I wasn't planning on asking that, but I heard you several times say, well, we just threw it out. Like we started doing it, it didn't work. So out it went. And like, you're very matter of fact about it, but I don't think it's a matter of fact thing. So walk through your mindset.
That's a good question. I never really thought about it that way before. But it feels like to me, if you don't have the buy-in from the folks, or you don't have the buy-in from your clients, or it's not working operationally, then why? Then why commit to it, right? And I'm not saying that we just go out and we're like, ooh, let's try. Because I do see a lot of organizations doing that. They are just throwing AI at the wall, hoping something will stick and be like, look at us, we're using AI. And they don't really know why they're using it. And then they're disappointed in it. I know what I'm looking for. So if I'm not getting what I'm looking for, then I'm not going to keep trying to get it, right? So I think I'm very, very clear about what I need for the organization, what that will look like, and then I'm trying to find the tools that will help get me to that space. And so I don't have to waste a lot of time. If it's just not working, it's not working, and I'm going to go find something different. I don't know if that answers your question, and maybe that I've never really thought about that, Sean. That's how I've always been.
I think it's a great, like, if you haven't seen, I don't know if you've seen, I don't give Novo Insights a plug because Paul's head will get bigger than the screen, but their technology graphic that they have about the landscape. And in some of those grids, there's so many vendors that you can make an educated guess, but like, you're just going to be wrong sometimes. It's like pay equity, like you're going to do it the first time, you're just going to be wrong. And I do think people get stuck on that. So I think it's just a good shout out, like, that, people that are successful, I think one of the skills that I've seen is they have the ability to be like, well, that was wrong. Like, I didn't get that right. So guess what I'm not going to do is that.
We're not going to keep doing that. That's right.
Yeah. So that's, I think that's a good call out. Like everything I heard in there that you were doing. And even with Taylor, like I think the fact that you had success with it and you didn't just be like, this was successful, I will now create, he'll take over the entire thing.
Right.
We'll all sit and play pool.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And some of it too, I'm just curious, like, because one thing I find I did when I was in-house more than now, but building exit ramps. Like, what if I am wrong? How am I going to get out of this? Right. And some of that's just contractual stuff. Some of it is change management stuff. Like, how do you communicate to let people know this isn't set in stone? This could evolve, or this will evolve, or, setting up those 6-12-month markers, depending on the project, could be shorter. Like, we're going to pull the plug if this thing's not doing this by this date, right? Like, planning for failure almost. Not just being willing to accept it, but knowing it's inevitable and structuring how you handle it. So one, it doesn't feel, I think early in my career, I definitely felt personally defeated when sort of an initiative that I chose didn't work. But it's not personal defeat. No. It's more, I got it wrong. Like,
no, pat yourself
nobody
on the
bats
back for
1,000.
Trying.
Right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, there's really two things in there that I think are important to pull out. One is that change management piece, because, man, that is probably the hardest part of any, in the HR space, or really any business leader space. And the other is, like, I have found, if we're going to get granular, that these organizations are super willing to work with you because they want their product out there. And so if someone comes at me and is like, we're going to lock you in for 3 years and this is the price, I'm like, oh, no. We're not going to do that. So here's what I'm willing to do. And you want to give that a shot? Great. And if they don't, then that's fine. But not kind of being led by, but also saying, well, here's what I'm looking for. And until I know that I can get that, here's what I'm willing to invest. And then secondly, around that change management piece, man, the past couple of years, we have definitely been through it here as well as most organizations. And I would say that what I have learned through error is overly communicate, being incredibly transparent. Sometimes it's like, well, I don't want to tell anybody yet because I don't know what the outcome will be, but you're in the middle of it and people can feel it and they know it's happening, but they don't know why it's happening. And there is nothing worse than that ambiguity for employees, because then they're like, well, what is happening? Like, should we be worried? Is our job at risk? And so just being overly transparent, even about the hard things, and communicative about, we don't know, but we're going to go on this journey together. And here's our anticipated results. And we'll just stay close through it and see. And I can only say that now because I have done it wrong in the past. I have tried to be protective of my people in a way that did not serve them. And so, I have learned, communication and transparency are really the biggest pieces of change management, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's super critical. I think people's imaginations are generally worse than the actual.
Yes.
And the knee-jerk reaction to is, I'm not going to tell you, isn't, wow, that must be so awesome. They want to keep it a secret. That's not that's not the knee-jerk reaction. Yeah. So I do like that, that thing. And I think most humans, I mean, there's always going to be people, right, that are being people. But if you're like, we're trying to be better and here's what we're trying, then they know you're trying. As opposed to, this sucks and no one's doing anything about it thing. Yeah. The last thing on Taylor is, I mean, what has been the overall vibe now that Taylor's been an employee for a while? Yeah. Throughout the company, and how do you handle him at Merit? That's a great question. That is something that I'll be honest about. We don't know yet. And so, certainly something that we're thinking about in terms of how is this changing our job descriptions? And then how does that reflect the merit piece? Because I just wanted to know if he was getting an increase.
Taylor is not getting an increase.
I'm sure Intercom has something to say about that.
He's fine with it. Look at Shane.
He doesn't even ask, Sean. He's just happy to be here.
Okay. That said, and you don't have to give away commercial terms. One of the things I'm pretty sure I'm familiar with Intercom, Taylor or Finn charges based on how good it is, right? Like, outcomes are a cost.
Resolutions.
Right. So you could argue that Taylor's going to earn an increase to some extent, right? So the better the tool gets, the more productive Taylor is, the more it produces an outcome, which is either I solved your problem or I correctly got you to the right person, I think is how they define it.
Yeah.
Like, that's a raise.
I think they totally do a fair pricing model, to be honest, because you're right. You do get charged for resolution, but if a ticket comes in and Taylor works with a client but doesn't resolve it and it gets escalated, we don't have to pay for that. So it's still doing the legwork, but at no cost, right? And so I think that they do a nice job with their pricing model. But yes, as he continues to do more, we will have to pay more.
That's right.
But he's worth every penny.
But it certainly does affect the way others will think about pay. I mean, I think that's the real candid answer is others are going to say, wait a minute, I am doing more than I was before.
That's right.
The easy stuff is gone. I'm doing the hard stuff. That's worth more. show me the money. Like that's the honest
exactly right.
thing that employees are going to say if you're not getting that already. So
and they're not wrong. It's just a matter of figuring it out. And as we all know, like mid-year is a very difficult time to have those conversations because your budget is set in October for the following year. And then you throw in something like Taylor and all of a sudden you're seeing these changes in the organization and you're like, how do I respond to that right now? And so we are just getting ready to move into our budget cycle in the next couple of weeks. And so this will certainly be a part of that conversation as well, because we do have employees that are taking on more. Their job descriptions just look totally different now. And like I said, the hiring profile is also different. And so for our current workforce, I think it feels different. We have changed our hiring profile already. And part of that is that we are hesitant to hire anyone that has no curiosity around AI. I'm not looking for AI experts by any means, but I am looking for people that use it in their personal life and they have a tool that they love and they can share experiences of how they've gone down rabbit holes with it. Because to me, that shows that they are, one, engaged and interested, but also that they can kind of ride this wave with us in a way that is not fear-based, but they're like, woo, let's go. Those are the folks that I'm looking for sure.
Yeah.
The last question we usually do with it, and you have all of HR and operations now. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
If you could solve any one thing, automagically is the highly technical term.
Magically.
I don't know if Taylor will like that. He'll probably have to escalate it then. In HR, what would you magically solve?
I don't know that I would solve it, but maybe I would fast forward it, right? Like I want to see where we are going with this connection between AI and humans and how we are going to work together so well in the future that it's like a well-oiled machine. Right now, I feel like we're running, then we're walking, and then we stumble, and then we get up, and some people are on board and some people are not. And so there's like this uneven adoption, specifically in HR, where I think the tools exist, but the organizational readiness is maybe not there, and the trust is not there. And so for me, I would like to just fast forward through this like uncertainty moment and just try to get to the other side of it and see, okay, now this is the new normal for workforce, and this is what this looks like.
No, I think that's great because I do think we're in this weird period of, AI was going to take care of everything and everyone freaked out and it was going to automatically solve everything.
Yeah.
And I think management got on board with that almost too fast, maybe for the cost and what have you. And now we're in this period of AI disillusionment for some people around what it's solving. And to your point, it can solve some things, but not things. And so, but where is that? And that's the journey.
Where does that settle?
Yeah, nobody knows. It's an interesting time because I've been using the word grace when I've been presenting some out there for people. Have a little grace with yourself.
Yeah.
There isn't an answer right now. Like you need to have some grace with your own self because you're going to get it wrong. And like literally no one's got it right yet.
Totally.
That's right.
Yeah. So don't be too hard on yourself. This has been awesome, Shayna. I really appreciate you taking time coming out. The dogs were great. Were they making any sound? They were like,
no.
Oh, they're wandering around. They have, so there are, there's employees that have dog treats like in their drawers and the dogs know. And so they just make this little path all the way around all day long. And they just come home bloated and full. And they
trick-or-treating every Friday. Trick-or-treating every Friday.
In the office.
Okay. That's awesome. Thanks so much.
I love it.
We will tag Shayna. Follow her. There's great stuff. I know you're presenting several places. It really is an amazing story you have. And I love the fact that when I heard about Taylor and the journey that he and you all have been on, I think it is great. And the part that we didn't highlight so much, he is really an integrated part of the team and on the org chart and what have you. And I thought that was all super cool.
Yeah, he definitely has a manager.
I really appreciate you being on. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
This is great. Thanks, Shayna.